Okay, so first I'm going to say a prayer to begin, and then so you can close your eyes and take a breath. Father, Mother God, we ask for the clearing. We ask for God's love and God's light. We ask for the light of the Christ. We ask for any angels, masters, and beings of light that can be here to support us in our process, in our healing, in our unfoldment, that work in line with the highest good. We ask for a blessing for each of us in line with our soul's purpose and our unfoldment and spiritual fulfillment. So be it. Amen. Okay, so we're going to be talking about past life things. It's in doing the spiritual work, it's really important to understand. We probably can't understand it all. So we can say that we understand it in our heart, but our minds want to kind of limit things, you know. So try to just be open. And when I'm looking for information, I'm looking for what's going to open the door to healing. So sometimes I'll get a little information and I'll feel this energy movement. Sometimes I'll need more. But a lot of times people want to know, well, what's the rest of the information? Sometimes knowing the rest of the information gets in the way of the healing. Okay, so not always, but you want to kind of keep that in mind, that I like to use the term for your highest good, and you know, what's for your spiritual unfoldment, what's for the healing, you know, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, you know, and things getting better in your life, really. So sometimes if you go further with the information, then there's a responsibility you have with that you probably don't want to take on. So just be careful with that. So we're going to do some guided meditations and stuff, and just remember that part. Like everyone wants to, I have a past life as Cleopatra or something like that. And, you know, but you could have a past life as being a queen of some sort. So I have a past life where I was royalty, and it affects me like every day, because I wonder who's going to do the dishes, and then I have to do it. But it's something I realized a long time ago, so I've learned to be kind of conscious about that. Okay. We are past life puzzles. With those past lives come our karma and lessons we've chosen to learn. I do like to look at it that, you know, spiritually we kind of create this all, but we're not just spiritual. We are spiritual beings, but we're human beings. So I like to look at it, you know, I don't know if you know what the 80-20 rule is. Someone came up with this in business, basically saying 80% of the generated income for a business is usually generated by 20% of the employees. But then people start to use this for other things, and when I found out about it, was in reference to couples counseling. And it was just great, because if you're saying everything's your fault or you create everything, it's like, it just feels like overbearing, you know, like, so that part of 80-20. So it's a good way, the 80% you have responsibility, but it also gives you a leeway, like, oh, it's not totally my fault. Okay, so you want to look at it in these things like it's 80% you. The good thing about that is usually when you clear the past life pattern, then things will get better in that area, whatever it is. There are sometimes layers, so there needs to be more clearing, but a lot of times it's quite miraculous to do that. Okay. So I know I didn't say much, but if anyone has any questions about anything already, even not about that, it's okay if you want to ask. Yesterday after my talk, someone said they wished I talked about my near-death experience a little bit, which I realized from my perspective, I talk about that all the time, so I try not to talk about it so much, but I realize that most of you haven't heard my story, so I'll do that a little bit. This happened in 1976, and I was in my early 20s then. Had been living in the United States, in Colorado in the West. I came back to the Northeast to visit my parents and went to a party and was drinking and drugging and stuff, and It was interesting because I kind of pretended I was higher than I thought I was, so I could leave my car at the party and go back the next day and flirt with the young lady who was having the party. I got my friend to drive me back to my parents' house, and almost on the way there, almost there, I realized my sister needed the car the next day. So I said, bring me back to the party. And I told them, oh, I'm okay to drive. I was not okay to drive. And then, so I went back. I went inside and told the young lady that I was taking my car. I remember walking towards the door to leave the party still. And it was, now I very rarely drink. I would never get that drunk, but it was like the colors were too bright. People were a little hazy and stuff. I didn't think twice about it back then. So I got in the car. I don't know. I must have gotten in the car. The next thing I remember was I was floating out of my body, looking down. My body was leaning, like a tree was here. I was leaning against the tree with my legs straight out this way. A police officer was crouching over me. The car was smashed, and if you look at it, you just couldn't imagine that I survived. Maybe 6 months ago, someone said, oh, like some miracle must have happened that you even got out of the car. I just assumed the police officer pulled me out. My experience was very kinesthetic in feeling. And so I was here, it was all white light all around me. I wasn't like going into the white light. Down there, it was definitely nighttime dark when I saw my body in my car. My head was smashed open. Behind me, there was a big white circle, and within that circle was a full silhouette of a person, a being, and it just felt like all these years, I'm still trying to, but the most beautiful day, or the time when you're, in the water maybe, and it just feels so perfect. And it kind of like everything made sense, everything was okay. Sometimes people say to me, so all the questions were answered? It was like there were no questions. So it wasn't like this party, woohoo kind of thing. It was just everything was so peaceful and nice. Everything made sense. Like the world made sense. My car smash made sense. Everything. The being behind me said, you have to go back. Your father wants you to stay. I went back into my body and came to 3 days later. Again, someone interviewing me said, oh, so you could see behind you? It wasn't even really like seeing, it was just knowing. Everything was just known and knowing. The process of thinking didn't even happen. So it's hard to explain because it was so, sometimes you get glimpses of that when you just know something that you don't know. And the day feels so super wonderful. My mental understanding of this happened not too long later, but later, because I had no idea what to make of it. It was in the 1970s, no internet. I had never heard of a near-death experience. I had some spiritual experiences that I conveniently ignored. After this, I just couldn't ignore it. First of all, things in my life just started changing. One of the things that happened that was really cool, I was sitting in my apartment. So I went back to Colorado after I recovered enough to do that. My mom convinced me to move back to the Northeast, and I was sitting in my apartment. A knock on the door. I didn't think anything of it. Nowadays, no one just knocks on the door because cell phones and everything. There was this beautiful woman at the door, and there goes the kitty. And she came in and said, she was a sister of a friend of mine from Colorado that I did mention my near-death experience to, But when I would mention it to people, it's just this brief thing, and she said, I heard these cool things about you, I wanted to talk to you. And she introduced me to a spiritual teacher. And she said, I know someone who teaches a lot about what happens after you die. So I needed to meet this guy. I had some great experiences. And
Sorry.
that's okay. Luckily, I can edit it out of the video. But so I spent like 10 years studying with this person and had some really magical experiences. And I've had even since then. So I guess one of the first things that happened is I found out he did these remedies, and I'd never really heard of remedies before, but I knew that I wanted something from him. So this, before I met him in person, I talked to him on the phone for 2 minutes. He was just saying, how you do? You know, things that seemed not that important. He said, okay, I have everything I need. And he overnighted me this remedy, and it said, you know, take 1 drop at 10 o'clock, 2 drops at whatever, like a very detailed schedule of taking these drops of this remedy. After I took the 2nd dose, I got a fever, and it was dangerously high. I was married at the time. My mother was alive. They were saying you have to go to the hospital. I knew this was part of the healing process. I had read the woman who came to introduce me, left a book, one of his books, and I knew it was something about burning off the negativity in me. So, that was the beginning of many wonderful times with this man, and just mystical experiences all over the place. It was really cool. I didn't realize till maybe a handful of months ago how amazing it was. This woman just showed up at my door. I didn't do anything. She just showed up and said, here. And I would, I probably would have tried to ignore the whole thing, because it did, having spiritual experiences, it doesn't fit in well with going to work every day, and, makes life a little inconvenient in a certain way. Anyone have any questions about this part? No? Okay. So he used to tell me I'm a sensitive. And he also said to me a lot of times when I would ask him specific questions, he would say, you don't need to know that. There was one time with him, though, so I spent time with him in New York City, in Boulder, Colorado, in Vancouver, Canada, in the panhandle of Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. And in New York City one time at St. Patrick's Cathedral, he was teaching this workshop on sacred geometry that sounded interesting to me. I always loved geometry and just the concept. I asked him if I could go. He said, basically said, you're not going to understand any of it. These are advanced students. I still want to go. So I went, and I was being like his assistant. I cleaned the room and stuff like that. And during one of the breaks, he said, here, come into my office. And he was a real jokester, always joking around. He didn't have an office there. So we went into this little room, and he said, give me your hands. And he squeezed my hands in his. He goes, there, you got it. I said, got what? Again, he didn't even answer me that time. No, he said, give me your hands again. And so then he said, there, you got it. Sign that it happened after my near-death experience, which still happens. When I touch people, my hands become warm right away. Back then, I didn't know what to do with it. But after he did that, it became even warmer and more instantly, and my intuition increased even more after that. The part of not knowing, and I mentioned it in the beginning here, is just really important to be careful with your mind in spiritual things, because it is more than you could imagine. So when we're looking for information from past lives or whatever it is, understand you could look at it like it's a tip of the iceberg. There's all this stuff down here. You might need to know what that is. You might not. You just want the healing to take place. So your reference for even knowing something, and if it's right information, has to do with healing, as opposed to whether you can look it up somewhere and it's accurate information. Okay? Really, really important. And I've known this, that was many years ago, so I started learning it then, and still my mind, even now, it keeps wanting to know things. I also, when I'm doing healing, I want to fix people. And that's saying, no, you don't. So you got to let those things go in your mind and just allow the process, allow your process. If you're working with someone else, allow their process. Okay. So, like I said, we're puzzles of past lives. So I'll say everything. I say almost everything to leave a little room in there but it is everything in your life is connected to a past life. Every quality, every positive thing, every negative thing. There's a pattern from another lifetime that we're here to work through. Something that I do, and we'll do that, first we'll work on clearing some of the negative stuff, But definitely we want to send the light to the positive things to try to activate that karma more. So we can choose into a more gentle, more successful, more loving, more healthy karma. That part is really important to do also. Any questions, comments? No? Yeah, anytime along the way, even if it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, if you have a question, feel free to ask about it. Okay? So we're going to do a little meditation. Let your imagination and your intuition go. Okay, so some of the things I'm going to say are going to be kind of vague. Just trust yourself there. And if you get images of things, don't worry if it's, oh, you see the whole image. So it could be a visual image, it could be an emotional feeling, it could just be a knowing, which could be a word in your mind. Okay, any way that you get the information is fine. Okay? It's kind of like when we're dreaming, we dream on these different levels at the same time. So that's sometimes we have dreams that seem kind of funny because we're having like 5 dreams at the same time, and then we're becoming aware of these different ones. So there's different parts to us that sometimes have been in different life. Not all of us is always together in that lifetime. So trying to solidify the information becomes a little confusing to us. Sometimes it could seem like we're 2 different people in the lifetime. That's because like a certain part of our consciousness is with one person and another part's with the other person, okay? And that can be a little confusing. Again, that part doesn't matter so much because we're going to do some stuff to just try to clear that pattern, okay? Again, if there's any questions about anything.
So, sorry, when you said the consciousness thing, do you mean that's coming from a different lifetime? Is that what you're meaning? Or different parts of you right now? Yes,
we have different parts of our consciousness. So I call it the basic self, which is in the gut. Some people call it the low self, but I don't like that. The conscious self, which is our mind, and we have our high self. Okay. And then we have our soul. So our soul is always our soul and oversees these things kind of. But our basic self, conscious self, and high self are not always together in a lifetime. Okay. That's why we can have like that so many lifetimes and it almost doesn't add up mathematically. Mm-hmm. You could look at it like psychologically, like our ego, our conscious, and our unconscious. That's another way to look at the different parts to us.
So would you have different characters then? Were you a different type of person?
You could be,
yes.
Yes.
Be really horrible in one life and then
yes.
quite nice in another.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone has been really horrible in some lives and really nice. So the patterns either come from, generally something you did to someone or someone who did something to you. Either thing can start the pattern. Okay. There is part of us that wants to grow spiritually so much that we a client of mine years ago explained it that's really good. It's like a file. Say we have a file, we have to learn about loving. And we only need 3 of the papers in there. But part of us has gathered 100 papers. So we can get rid of the 97 to make it way easier. Sometimes we can get rid of all 100, but usually for this, we just get it down to 1 or 2 or 3, and then it's like, then you can go through it. A lot of times with the karma, we don't really need to succeed like in a celebratory way. We just need to get through it. And if you can be patient with yourself and love yourself when you're fumbling and grumbling and all that stuff, then you get through stuff, and all of a sudden one day, like sometimes I know I get through patterns and something changes, I don't even know what I did. I can't even tell the difference in me, just all of a sudden things are different in the world. Okay? So you just keep going, be patient and kind with yourself the best that you can. Okay. So the loving and kindness is just really important. And starting with yourself. That part's real important, not in a way against other people or thinking you're better than other people, and there might be things you're better than other people in, but it is, be kind and gentle with yourself. Okay. Any other questions?
Just a comment to say that the whole model of spiritual existence is in itself a revelation, really, compared with what we learn or understand typically.
Yes, definitely.
Just getting your head around the concept of having multiple parts that can coexist in different different forms, different experiences concurrently, is suddenly opens a whole heap of doors.
It's mind-boggling. So try not to worry about really understanding it. That's the thing. It's just, but you can kind of relate to it because sometimes you have different feelings in a situation. They're different parts of your consciousness. So that part can make sense. Okay, so you can close your eyes and get comfortable and just start to feel your body a little bit. You can do that by breathing, feeling where you breathe. It could be in your chest or in your belly. You might be breathing in through your nose or mouth. Focusing on any of those places can help. And then feel yourself sitting in the chair, your back leaning back if you're doing that, and your butt sitting on the chair and your feet on the ground. So we're going to take like a journey, and there's like our awareness can be in our body and in the spirit at the same time. So, and we're going to take a bit of a journey. So you want to just think of a place that you like. And it could be a building, it could be out in the woods, it could be at the beach, whatever comes to mind, just a place that's really comfortable for you. And just let some of the detail fill in your mind. For some people, they get to see this in their imagination. Some people just know it. Some people, you just kind of hear the words describing the situation. Or it might be a place you've been. It might be a place you've seen in a movie. It might be a place you all of a sudden, wow, I never even saw this place. All of those things are fine. Okay? So just get real comfortable there, and we're going to do some things to go in a little deeper, and that involves imagining the colors. And we'll go through the colors of the rainbow. So first imagine some red color, and you can imagine something that's red, or you can just say the word to yourself. And then orange, yellow, green, blue, then we're going to go to pink and purple. And then imagine a bright white light. Take a walk. It could be down a path. It could be down the road. It could be in a building. All of those things are fine. So just imagine yourself moving forward. And then all of a sudden, off to the side, you see an image of something, and it feels familiar and seems very curious to you. You're very curious about it, so you go there. It could be, if you're inside, it could be in a room, or if you're walking down a path, it might be a wooded area there. If you're at the beach, you're going from the sand perhaps to the dunes where there's grass and stuff. And you look around and you start to see something that looks very interesting to you. And there might be someone that looks kind of like you there. So you check that out. You might want to check out what the colors are around, the clothes that they're wearing. And you might even be able to hear something that the people are saying. And then focus into your heart center, in the center of your chest, and allow that loving energy to expand. And then all of a sudden you notice another person there that, again, looks kind of familiar, but you're not really sure who that is. And that person comes over to you and feels very warm and loving. And you might just feel like hugging that person, and you can do that in your imagination. And then that being whispers something in your ear. And within that might be something for you to know about yourself. Might be a pattern that you need to be working through, what your mission is in this lifetime. But each word, even if it doesn't sound so positive, you feel a great amount of love in there. And that activates a great love inside of you for yourself. And then breathe into the center of your chest. You breathe and focus into the center of your chest. So take a breath in through your mouth and out through your mouth, and let some sound out on the exhale. And then you experience everything around you turning to a nice white light. And then start to feel yourself sitting in the chair again. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel yourself breathing. And take a moment with your eyes closed to think about what happened. And sometimes we get information that's, we don't really, we're not getting much of it mentally, but now just let some of it come present for you and see if that happens. Yawning is good. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Anyone want to share anything about the process? Okay. So, something I forgot to do before that is hand out the journals that I'm going to do now, so you can write about some of what happened. So in the writing, it could just be, there could be a color and you don't know what it is. Just write everything that pops into your mind. If you had a specific situation, if you're a specific message from whoever you met in meditation, just write it down. it could be feelings, it could be glimpses of things. I used to get this thing sometimes, it's just old boot I would see, and it just seemed like something I needed to clear. I had no idea what it was. And if you didn't get anything, just start writing, make some stuff up. Yeah. And you could just say, I didn't see anything, whatever happened, start to write, it helps. Or, as I said, make something up that you would like a past life to be. Okay. Making millions of dollars, pounds, whatever. Yeah. So I had that past life where I was royalty of some sort, and little things still, even though I've known this for a long time, it's like I just keep thinking things should be done. Like, and I rush, and I've learned to slow down, but it'd be like I'd hurry up and do the dishes because it's almost like I have an image in my mind that they're done already. So instead of being conscious, so it's an effort for me, and that's a small thing. I have this thing from a Japanese past life. I love to eat out of bowls. And it's funny because I just take a bowl out all the time, even for things you normally eat in a plate. And that's kind of a cute thing, but I know what it's about. Not too long ago, I had this, it was with a client, and she had, from a past life, it was kind of Catholic karma, and in that lifetime she was really beautiful physically, and because of that she was accused of being overtly sexual, and she wasn't at all. But part of her punishment was she had to be out in the rain naked for a long time, like, in a time when people wouldn't do that nowadays. But it was kind of cool because I told her that, and it ended up the first time some guy tried to make it with her, it was raining out, and so the connection and her feeling just came up, and she started crying when I told her that, and it just really cleared up a lot of stuff for her. Really cool things. What was yesterday? Oh, someone was talking to me about their fear of bugs, and they had a past life where it was funny because it was in a time when people ate bugs quite a lot, and in that life she was in royalty, so she was able to eat only the best bugs and the best food. So, and it really disturbed her. She ended up later on in that lifetime, it was like her father was the king, and she ended up taking great steps to help the poor. In that time there was the rich people and the poor people, and she ended up, because of her feelings for that. But in this lifetime, and I don't know what the result of that's going to be because that happened the last time I talked to her, but hopefully she just gets disgusted with bugs all the time, so hopefully that'll be over. Okay? So any patterns that you have in your life that you don't like come from a past life. And we don't need to know exactly what that is, but getting little glimpses into that can be really helpful. And there are ways to clear that up. I'm trying to think others where something physical would happen. So a lot of times from other lifetimes, it was in a much more violent time than now. So there are times like people get stabbed and stuff, and then they happen to have a wound in that part of their body in this lifetime, because they have to learn about that. I'm not thinking of a specific one. I used to, with my mother-in-law, there was a time, I'm not married now, so she's actually not alive, but we were in the military, and she was a superior officer. So she just always felt like she could tell me what to do. And I couldn't talk to her about that, but the good thing is as I start to clear my stuff with that, it got better. So, a lot of times you can't talk to the other person about it, but usually if you clear your patterns and your karma, it helps the situation altogether. Okay? So, did anything come up for anyone that they could see how it's connected to this lifetime at all?
Yes.
Would you care to share what that is, or if you don't want to, that's fine.
No, that's fine. I thought I was going to go to the beach because that's my favourite place.
Yeah.
When you said there's something on your left, there was a wooden door, and I thought that's odd because I knew I was in Venice. It was a wooden door with a big round Brass knob, lion's head neck. When you said there is someone, because obviously I went in there, when you said there is someone that leans over to whisper in your ear,
Yeah.
it was someone holding a paintbrush and a palette with paint on it. And he leaned over and whispered to me, where is your painting? Where is your art? Why are you not working?
Cool.
And that made me feel really quite ashamed, because in this lifetime I have a talent for painting and I'm not using it. And it was like, okay, message received. Better late than never. Well, they've been telling me that for a very long time.
Okay.
It was interesting to me that I wasn't where I thought I was, and I was in a completely different country. So that was very unexpected.
Yeah. It's a lot of art in Italy. We were just there before this.
Ah,
So,
right.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's good. So, and things like that can happen. But if you didn't get any specific things, be gentle with the process, because our mind is constantly wanting something like that. And it could be something's here, and our mind will go, no, that looks similar to this, and then try to create this, and that's what kind of blocks that information from coming. Okay. So next we're going to go to talk about some patterns in this lifetime that we're directly aware of. And you can, so there are the patterns that we'd like to change, and then there's the patterns we have that we like, and we want to try to amplify those a bit more. I'm just trying to think of some for myself. I wish I could think of one, because I did have a very specific experience that it slipped my mind right now that I meant to talk about here, but it was something when I start to realize this thing of I don't need to do such a good job at whatever the thing is I need to learn. I just really need to get through it without really messing it up. And sometimes I get through something and I know that I've passed a test, and I actually think to myself, man, how much would I have had to fuck it up to not get through, okay? So, and that's like not murdering someone, to that degree. I mean, sometimes we have a little more responsibility than that, but sometimes we just have to get through it, and it's just like, well, this is my pattern. This is something. And one way to look at it, when you experience something with more than one person, then it goes, oh, there's my pattern, whatever that is. So when I do couples counseling, I try to get people, usually couples are blaming the other person for what's going on. I try to get, well, have you had this happen with someone else in your lifetime? And then it's like, oh, there's my pattern, whatever it is. Okay. So you can take a moment and write some of your patterns that you might be aware of, and it could be anything from health issues that have recurred in your life, financial things, relationship things, and the way to find that is, like I said, to think, have you had it happen with more than one person, in more than one situation? So I've kind of learned when I, try to be aware of these patterns, if something happens a few times in my life, then right away I'll look to what I can do to clear for myself. It doesn't always go to past lives, but there'll be an awareness of a past life, but sometimes to clear the pattern directly. Okay, the things that I use to clear the patterns are to ask for spiritual assistance, which we'll talk about a little bit, forgiveness, which we'll talk about a little bit, usually forgiving yourself, not the other person, but forgiving yourself, and then colors I use a lot. So so like if I'm, I have my practice, if like a couple of people cancel their appointment in the week, right away I'll look to like, what's that pattern? And see what's inside of me that might be, I don't even like to say creating it, but it's kind of like lining up with that, because I don't want that to be happening. Okay, if I have anything, if my energy's low, whatever it is that might come up. My daughter, and I love her, sometimes we have struggles, so then I'm looking for what is going on inside of me that might be doing that. Always open for past lives. A lot of times it's just a glimpse of something. And then again, you normally don't need much more information than that glimpse, okay? Anyone write down anything they'd like to share?
Maybe.
Okay.
So there's a couple of fairly innocuous ones. So
Okay.
finding it hard to start something, but enjoying it, whatever it might be, typically something creative or effort is involved. Right?
Yeah.
But getting towards the end of it is okay. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
But equally, the flip side, finding it, starting something and finding it hard to finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else can relate to those things?
Motivation's a big thing.
What's that?
Motivation's a big thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have too many ideas and then no idea where to start, or I have absolutely no inspiration at all. Like,
Anyone else have anything that is? Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone to just close your eyes again and then bring to mind any or all of the... Oh, she's writing, so just wait a second. Go ahead. So we're looking for patterns. Again, it doesn't... Sometimes people do get flashes of like a full scenario in another lifetime, but that's not really necessary for this. We're just looking for something that will, it's kind of the key to open the lock to the door. And then it opens up and things start to move. Then we look for feedback in our universe that things have changed. Okay? So our conscious mind is too much trying to keep it in this small range. So this is how we do it. We look at what's going on in the world. If we change something inside of us, something outside will change. Okay? So just close your eyes and bring your things you wrote to mind. It could be one specific one, just kind of pops more present in your mind. Okay? And again, take a breath into your heart. And we'll go and do the colors again. So the first is red, and then orange, yellow, green. You can picture a scene in nature with green. So blue, purple, pink, and then just use your imagination to kind of look around you. You might be in the same place you were in the first meditation, or it might be somewhere else. Again, you might have a vision, you might have a feeling, you might have nothing, and that's okay also. If you are seeing, you can look around and see what's going on. If you're just knowing, you can know what's going on, or you can feel what's going on. Take a big breath in through your mouth and out through your mouth. Feel your breath. And you can open your eyes and write in your journal again. Anyone have anything they want to share? Reluctantly or not? So this process can get to a very deep place inside of you. And as I said, a lot of the things come in. If you practice, you can get clearer visions with things. But it's, for me, and I know for most people that I know, it's kind of easier to get visions and clarity for other people. It takes a lot of patience to do it for ourselves, because otherwise we'll just avoid our karma, and there's part of us that won't let us do that. So as I said, the way that to do clearing kind of more directly, there's the three main things that I use is a spiritual assistance, forgiveness, and the colors. So yesterday I did the workshop focusing on the spiritual assistance, but you can depending on what your spiritual beliefs are, there are spiritual beings that usually go with those beliefs in the spirit. So Jesus is a really big one. There in the Jewish religion, Abraham, the archangels can be very helpful. But these are, so the way that I do it is, usually now I just kind of know what to go to, but when I don't, it's you have a list of things, okay? So when I said the archangels, a lot of energy came in over in this part of the room. So I don't know if anyone had an affinity towards that or felt something, but that's what I look for, that energy movement, okay? The forgiveness, you're usually forgiving yourself about your judgments about other people or judgments about yourself. That's the biggest thing, and you go through that list. Okay. The other thing is the colors, and you can just, the way I went through the colors, you can go through the colors of the rainbow, but you want to add on pink, gold, silver, and purple on top of that. Okay. So if anyone wants to talk to me about some of the things that came up, I can tell you what I see about those things.
Pentacles.
What's that?
I see lots of pentacles.
Pentacles? You mean the...
It's a 5-pointed star.
Yeah.
Circle.
Okay.
That's what I get a lot of.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's cool. So sit up straight and breathe into your heart. Uncross your legs. Yeah, that's okay. So just take a breath. So there's good things that go with that from history, and there are some negative things that go along with that. So you want to allow the good things to come present. Okay, so there's a negative past life you have that we want to kind of let go of. You were a male in that lifetime and did some things that you might not have liked. So,
But, a witch, not a witch.
Not a witch because it's a man, but something kind of similar to that. So, but put your hand on your heart and breathe and sit up straight. So you also have more, there's some good past lives with that. So that energy is a really cool thing. I mentioned the sacred geometry, so that has a lot to do with shapes and stuff. There you go. Breathe. Feel into your heart. That's good, yeah. If you can make sound, it's help. But sit up straight because you keep not doing that. So, yeah. Kind of a rude way to say it, but a woman told me this. Knockers up. That's what you said for me. There you go. So feel into your belly now. Okay. So do you ever do any work with that, or it just you get visions of it?
I get visions of it a lot.
Okay. So you might try doing some drawing with that.
Actually, I drew one and put it above my bed because that's when it happens most, and I get less of that at night now. Oh,
real? Oh, cool. That's good. So yeah. So you can try using different colors, because you have a past life when you were almost like a genius with doing that kind of stuff. So when you were very young, you would draw things and it helped people heal in a really cool way. So by adding in colors, it'll help that youthfulness come present, and you could do that. So that starts to move there. Okay, that's cool. Good. Yeah, see, it can be little things like that. It doesn't, and we just get a little glimpse of it, and then just knowing to let it unfold with the direction of the highest good, and that we have gifts that are beyond our imagination. Okay. So yeah, you have a lot of cool stuff moving in there. How are you feeling inside now?
Feeling very hot.
Okay, good. So just breathe into where the heat is and let it, there you go, and move it out so it can clear out emotions and get some movement and stuff. But so yeah, you were in the other lifetime where you were really good at it, you were a male also, a little boy. But you liked to draw. It wasn't crayons back then, but it'd be like drawing with crayons or markers, colorful things. So that would be great for you.
Okay.
Cool.
Did the name Johnny come up at all?
Johnny? That could be Johnny, yes. Do you see things about Johnny, or?
Oh, apparently my mum says he was an imaginary friend, but I saw him,
Yeah.
Johnny, when I was a little girl.
You have a... Do you do spiritual practices or something?
Reiki, sort of, I'm doing Reiki 2 soon.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so sign just cleared up. So there's some bit of just knowing there's goodness there, and that goodness is beyond what you know, and there you go. So you keep connecting into it when I say that, and you might feel kind of happy in there, but that thing is there for you. And our mind wants to make it something we understand, but it's more. In the highest levels of spirit, there's not much of stuff from the physical level. A lot of times for me, it just looks like a light purple light, okay? And it just feels, when I start to say that, part of me just wants to go, ooh, but it is like that. So we go back and forth from that to this and do something, okay? So do you try to draw much? Or, it looks like that could be really good for you.
Quite crafty, painting, other crafts.
So you can, like, I don't particularly like the word channeling, but it is like being a vessel for that energy to come through into the art. You definitely have that ability. So sometimes you're getting you're not understanding that part of it. So it always is like, well, way higher than you could imagine. And this joy comes in, and this, then you draw from that. That would be really good for you. Okay. Anyone else? No? You have something that you don't want to share?
I don't know, it's different. I'm trying to work out whether it's me. I don't know. Yeah. Or.
Okay. So uncross your legs and just sit up straight.
Sometimes I don't know if my imagination just goes off, or if it's actually from spirit.
Well, it's in one way it's always from spirit. So it's kind of like that initial thing is probably from spirit. Then our mind comes in and tries to reference something we know, and that's okay. And sometimes that information can be right, but you want to maintain this connection and know that your mind doesn't quite get that. So there you go. So just breathe and just feel that energy move in there. So again, it's just a little clue, and we can't stop our mind, but we understand that little clue, that might be where the thing is, okay? And so with her, she had specific things, but that doesn't always matter. Sometimes it's just a feeling or an energy, sometimes it's almost like crying or just a little smile inside, okay? So you could just let that happen, that's real and okay. Okay, so you're questioning it, and as long as it's really good, then it's really good. You know what I mean? Okay.
It's not so positive.
What's that?
It's not so positive.
So what is it that?
It was weird. It was. I saw like like a tower or something. Like a really, I can't even describe it. It was like old and a bit jaggedy, like in the distance, but it was like in a fog. And I don't know if anyone's seen Aladdin, but it's the only thing where my brain went.
Okay.
It was kind of, this has got a bit weird.
That's okay.
It's not as positive as the pinnacles.
No, it is. So there's stuff moving. So breathe in your heart there. Let it go. So you're getting there to the thing. Again, it's the key, and it can be kind of negative, but there's the positive part that
I don't
comes in.
understand it. I don't know what it references to, but it's basically like the part in Aladdin where he gets bound to like a chair and pushed out of the tower window
Okay.
into the water.
Yeah.
There's my positive life experience.
Okay. Well, that's a part you have some like a negative demon there affecting you in that. So you can just take a breath, breathe into your heart. See, but you're kind of laughing and smiling, so that part's a good thing. So let that good part be there. Okay. So when I'm working with people, sometimes I hear things, sometimes I see things, but I was working with someone one time and I hear ice cream, and the person not talking about ice cream at all, but this being is very persistent, so it just says ice cream, and it says ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, just say ice cream, just say ice cream. So I said ice cream, and the person, it was on the phone, they started laughing and crying, and they ended up having a fight with their boyfriend in the morning about ice cream. So it's just a clue that, our mind wants to understand something. So, but yeah, breathe into your heart. So move your left shoulder around a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Do you like Aladdin?
That's the thing, I watched it the other day, so I don't know if it's my mind just being weird.
Well, the symbolism of it is, so that's okay. Yeah. I like Star Trek and sci-fi, so I get a lot of that stuff. From, Again, our mind wants to solidify it, but there's the spirit of it that's coming in. Okay, there you go.
When you first made us go into meditation, I was in the water in Torquay seafront, and I felt always peaceful there.
Okay.
And then I was like looking around, and it was just Torquay, so I put myself in like a white light to see whatever they wanted to give me.
Yeah.
And that's when I fell out the window into the water. So I don't know.
Well, but those are all clues, yeah. So it is, you get stuff like that, you take the step, and then you let go a little. I mean, we can't not use our mind, so we want to use it, but it's like this back and forth thing like that. So yeah, there's stuff opening up, and so that's the thing. Then that information, there's stuff opening up, so I don't know how much of that information is accurate. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I see things with people I know, to me, 100% sure they have this past life. I see all these details, but does it matter? There's no way to prove it. If I talk to the person about it and they're feeling better, that's what matters. Okay. Anyone else want to?
I
Okay.
had quite it's like quite disturbing in a way, because I think that I was quite a horrible man who was like abusing a girl in the thing. That it was really horrible.
Abusing
a girl.
Okay.
It wasn't very nice.
Yes, that's okay. Sit up straight and just talking about forgiveness, you want to forgive yourself for anything you did in that lifetime. Okay. So we can ask for the spiritual assistance in there. So you have a bunch of stuff to clear there, but that's good. So it's not always pretty, that's for sure.
Horrible.
But so breathe into your heart, but now you're not doing that. That's real important for you to understand, even though, and there might be things in your life that almost remind you of that kind of thing. Okay.
It's happening, it happened to me a lot now in this life, probably because of that.
Well, again, don't try to take it so personally. So when I say the 80-20, it's like 80 is good enough to be accountable, and then there's the part. So our soul creates these things, but it is like a play or going to an amusement park. So it's not it's not that horrible of a thing, you know. So there you go. So a lot of stuff about that already cleared. Okay, so how are you feeling inside?
Still a bit strange, but
Okay.
can
Do you
work
feel
with
it a specific place in your body, the strange?
Here.
Okay, yeah. So just breathe right into there. Do you like dogs? Is it?
I'm looking after a dog right now.
You are, okay. Because you have another lifetime you weren't so nice to a dog.
Oh,
So
okay.
that seems like it's bothering you more than that one. So just, but yeah, breathe into your solar plexus there. So there's no need to punish yourself in any way for what you did. Okay. So it's someone else's dog when
Yes.
you're looking after it? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, breathe into your belly. Let some of that move there. How are you feeling now?
Better.
Okay, good. And yeah, your inner vision cleared up about that. That's cool. Great. Thank you for
Thank you.
being vulnerable and sharing that. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Anyone else?
Still have nothing.
You still have nothing? Okay. Well, are you aware of some patterns in your life that you would like to be better?
You're always in debt.
You're always in debt? Okay.
Every time I seem to get out of it, it just keeps. It just doesn't seem to improve.
Okay. What do you do to make money?
2 jobs.
2 jobs? Okay, yeah, I'm seeing something. I'm just trying to see how to explain to you. There's something about an umbrella, which seems like a funny thing to see. But sometimes we have something in our consciousness limits the amount of money we can have. And usually it's a lot more than we have, but still having that, and it's called an umbrella. Now, as I said out loud, oh, of course. So we can send some light to that to clear that up. What bank do you use?
Barclays.
Okay. Yeah, there's just something about the bank, that's why I'm asking. So there, to me, I'm seeing enough stuff that there's stuff to clear up there. Okay, so, and yeah, sometimes my hands shake when the energy comes in. So we don't need to know that much a lot of the times. But when I see those things, it's like, oh, let me ask for the spiritual light to come in. Sometimes it can be specific, we need to do. Sometimes it can be just ask for the light. And, you know, so Jesus Christ really covers a lot, but it doesn't need to be that, because there are other, like I said, Abraham, you know, and all the Buddha, all the saints and everything. And there's thousands of beings in the spirit that help us. Okay, there you go. So yeah, breathe into your heart there, sit up a little straighter. So how much money would you like to have?
Just enough to be out of debt.
Yeah. Okay.
And comfortable, not to, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do is just get out of debt.
Getting out of debt is a good thing. And then, so, but obviously you'd like to have more money than that. Okay. So.
I haven't enough. I just can't seem to
Yeah.
get it where it needs to go.
Okay. So yeah, you have a past life where you were you worked for someone who's very wealthy. So you were not starving or anything, but you kind of, they would have, it wasn't a vault, but it was a room that was like a vault, and they had a lot of money in there. But you were in charge of making sure that was locked. So the money was just right out of reach all the time. And so you got kind of resentful in that lifetime about it. So yeah, there you go.
That resonance.
Yeah. So just, take a breath and let some of that go. So that's not this lifetime, so you can have some of that money. It'd be almost like you could see gold coming to you as opposed to money. That might open it up more for you. Okay. That's it. Yeah, feel into your heart there. That's great. So you can just imagine some purple light to clear some more stuff in there. Where were you born?
Kingsbridge.
That's nearby here? Is that,
Yeah, about an hour away.
okay. And you live near here now?
Yeah.
Is that, okay. Yeah, sometimes I get kind of information, like I said, I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what that has to do with it, but it has something to do with it, where you were born. And so there's some connection happening there now that should help. Okay.
Thank you.
So something that you can do is, there's a thing called a money magnet, and you just start saving a little bit of money. Even you put it like in your sock drawer or something, and even if you put like a nickel at a 5 pence, is that what you call it, at a time, kind of thing, that can help there. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else?
I get colds out of nowhere.
You get what?
I get really ill out of nothing.
Okay.
So I'll just start sneezing and then I'll come into like a flu-like.
Okay.
Just out of nowhere. It's hurt sometimes it's part of the year, certain type of year.
Right.
So it's like a winter period.
Yeah.
But even like now it'd be really sunny, but the next day I'll have a sneeze or a really runny nose or get a temperature. It's always that.
Do you get aches and pains in your body?
A lot.
On your left side there, is that where it's more? Or?
Used to be,
Yeah,
but not so much now since I changed my job.
Okay. Let's see, I'll just send some light into your spleen over there, because it looks like that's what it has to do with.
It's on the lower back as well. It
Yeah.
used to really be painful.
Okay. How old are you?
26.
And the other stuff would be asking you some personal questions. I don't know if you want me to do that in front of everybody.
I don't have to here.
You're good or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about your mom a little bit.
She lives with us,
Okay.
and I wouldn't say she's well off. She skips jobs around, so she doesn't work for a living.
Yeah.
She just gets by.
Okay.
I'm not
There you go.
100% sure what she really does because she doesn't tell me.
Okay. Okay. So breathe into your heart. It's almost like this part of your body is energetically is twisted compared to the other part of your body, something to connect it with your mind. So breathe into your heart there. What do you do for work?
I'm an outdoor instructor.
For
I work with kids, so I teach kayaking.
oh, cool. Oh,
Climbing,
yeah. You said
all
you
that.
like the rivers, right? So that's cool. That's a great thing for you.
River
Yeah.
guide. So
Yeah.
paddle down the river 24/7 pretty much.
You have like worry and stuff about your mom that you can let go of, and it's okay. It's kind of like let yourself know it's okay to be free. And the part of being in the river is really good for your spirit because that freedom is there. So a lot of times with our family members, we feel like we're responsible, and it is like we feel like we're 100% responsible. The thing is, we're like 2 or 3%. So her karma is her karma. So some of that stuff just cleared. So she's working through her stuff. No matter how weird it seems to you, everyone's working through their karma. Everyone's on their spiritual path, whether they know it or not. That's what they're doing. So, and you would think there's got to be some similarity with you, but because of the past life thing, there can be very different things that make no sense to you whatsoever, and that's okay. Okay, so breathe into your heart there. So that one's a little hard, but for you, but it's just trusting with everybody that they're in their process, and it doesn't mean let them walk all over you. It just understand their process is different. Okay? There you go. So can I come around and touch you on the back there? Okay. There you go. Get up. So whatever the comfortable thing for a man for knockers up is. Okay. So you can, how old is your mom?
Yeah.
And is your dad around, or
Yeah.
is he there with you too, or he's separate?
Separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, take a breath. What's that?
It's even more complicated.
Yeah, but so whatever goes on in your family, there's a spiritual family line in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a certain authority in your family that is more than you're aware of. Okay, but no matter how complex our families get, there's a certain energy and wisdom that comes through even people that are not aware of it. Okay, there you go. So take another breath there. So sometimes it's hard with our parents, but there's obviously things you know more than your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could ever say that to her, but inside of you can know that you have some things together that she does not have, and that's okay. I think you know what those are, but you can really let yourself own that, and that
I
would
feel
be...
Mum hides a lot more than she lets on.
She's hiding a lot more?
She definitely hides a lot more
Yeah.
than she lets on.
So that's part of her karma, but yeah, you can let that go. So you have some witchcraft from her that you can just let that go. And in a certain way to look at it, even if someone's totally open with you, they can't be totally open because there are things in their consciousness. And sometimes people hide things. Some people say things that are not true at all. They don't even know they're lying. That's just how it is. I have some people like that in my life, and I like to trust people, but there's certain people you can't trust. And so I have to remind myself, it's kind of like, well, I can trust them that what they're saying is wrong. So I can be in my trust, and then they'll say something like, I'm just thinking, some things when it comes to numbers, it's like obviously wrong. So someone will say something with, I'm thinking of a time someone said something with numbers, and it just, that doesn't add up. What do you mean? How could you say that? Most things, other people will look at it and they don't understand how full of it that person is, because it just seems like little things, but you know. So there you go. So breathe into your gut there. So it's kind of like you're kind of a grown-up, and just understand that. Okay, so you're taking care of yourself. It seems like you're taking care of her son, which is pretty cool. So that's what a grown-up is. How are you feeling now?
Eased.
What's that?
A little bit eased.
Okay, good. So let some purple light in. Purple's for spiritual transformation, and some pink light. Pink light is for the loving and the spiritual loving. Do you have some water there to drink?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, can you get him some water, please? Thank you. So there's some stuff moving there. Again, try to not pin it down, but there's a lot of freedom. So you have, you have a past life. Your mother was there, and you were not that different of a situation, but in that lifetime, you learned to embrace your freedom there. So you can, your ability for responsibility is really great. So, and so when I was your age, I had a job and a home and kid. Back then it'd be like you get to be in your early 20s. If you're not going to school. Nowadays you get to wait till you're a little older. So you're probably having to do that more than most people your own age. But you can do that. Okay. So you're good at it, and so there's the serious part of taking care of business, but you can also enjoy your life and stuff, and that's kind of still being a youngster who can, whatever that is for you, Thank you. So that's how you could continue with some journal writing about. There's still stuff clearing for you, so we're not going to get to the end of it right now. Okay. Great, thanks for sharing that. That's great. Anybody else want to share some stuff?
I have a question.
Okay.
Where I found myself, I'm wondering if that's where I found myself, or if I'm picking up on this lady with what this lady has said. Because I found myself in a debtor's prison.
Okay.
I was panicking, didn't know how to get out. Of course, when this lady said she's with financing something, okay, was that mine or was that?
Well,
or is it just coincidence we're both together and we both have financial issues?
Well, there's some stuff to clear about that for you. I don't know if it's the way you're experiencing it might have something to do with her, but the prison part seems to be your stuff. I don't know about the debtors part, but yeah. So again, our mind, it has to come to us somehow that we can understand it. So there are sometimes things added in. So yeah, just take a breath. Some of the stuff is clearing. Yeah, you have this beautiful, majestic energy in you that you can really let out a lot more. So that would be good. Yeah, breathe into your heart. Some sadness about that. So there are different levels of consciousness. Some of them are negative, and we get accessed into those. So you're accessed into, there are different levels of hell. It's not like hell you burn eternal damnation, because that's not a thing, but we do get into these levels, so you can let that go. Okay, so yeah, breathe into your heart, let that energy move in there. So once in a while something is 100% someone else's, but usually there has to be something in there for us to at least learn about. So from some lifetime we had something to do with it, okay? And it might be a little tiny bit, and we're getting the information that way, but still, you want to look as what you can clear. It is good to know, well, let me just let go of the other person's stuff right away and then get to my stuff, because a lot of times that helps it so much just to go, well, that's their stuff, then it goes away, and then there's your stuff. So you can, so I talked about the different selves before. So the basic self is here in the gut. We start our spiritual self in the heart, and then our conscious self is here, okay? So we want to connect those for you a little bit more and activate them. Okay, so, and if you could do the, like it, there you go. So yeah, that's saying that the Lord works in mysterious ways. So when things are presented to us, again, I like the 80-20 rule, because it just gives us room to take care of our stuff and not feel like, we're doing something wrong or that it's blaming it on the other person. So you want to try to use everything for your learning, growth, and upliftment. Yeah, I'm seeing something from another lifetime. There's something about hay in it. I'm not sure what it is though, actually. So. There you go. How are you feeling?
Lighter.
All of a sudden you got lighter. I don't know what the hay had to do with it, but probably something. And does it matter? No. But after I said that, like something, the color of your throat and your face became more the same, and that's something to look for. Okay, cool, great. Anyone else want to share anything, say anything?
I suppose it's interesting to have some insight as to how you experience the movement of energy in others.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I just know things, sometimes I see things, sometimes I feel things. Some things that I did to learn to do that, what comes to mind, someone did this study about Richard Nixon years ago about his posture, and basically when I was learning some body work, we would try different postures. And then, so you know, if you walk around like this for a while, you start to feel down. If you keep your head up, you start to feel more up. But it was just also a way to intuitively read people's body posture. So that is one way. Like with her, I saw her throat and her face. Just
so there's a physical aspect to that.
There is a physical aspect. There is a feeling part. So you know, my first thing I learned was hands-on healing, and a lot of it was through feeling through my hands. And then I just studied with people and learned more. And so there's seeing, there's feeling, there's hearing, basically. And you could choose a day like, oh, I'm going to focus on what am I seeing, and you just, you know, and some of it is what you're looking at. Some of it is, you know, you look at someone, or you thinking how pretty they are, or handsome, or ugly, or, you know, or are you looking for their spirit? And just focus on that to develop those things spiritually. And then you could spend a day for hearing, like what are you listening to? You know, I like to listen to music, but sometimes I'll just not have anything on because it can, you know, listening to music all the time, a lot of times it's very uplifting, but it can be avoiding listening to myself, or, you know, things like that. And then you can focus on what you're feeling, and that can be physically or emotionally to develop those. So, but sometimes I see things. So with the energy thing, sometimes I see energy, sometimes I see colors around people. So usually brown or black is stuff clearing. The other colors are usually healing colors coming in, or so it can be all sorts of things. So my name is Lawrence, and it actually, you know, when you see things coming out of the hot pavement sometimes, that thing is, my name is, that's what it means. So sometimes I see stuff like that where it's almost like this heat coming off of someone. Yes?
I see a lot of light bulbs when I'm stressed, or
Okay,
when
cool,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm really stressed when I'm in foster care, and I've always looked after people.
Yeah.
And when I'm really, really exhausted, I see a lot of light bulbs, and I think that's most probably, you know, protection, helping me, because I'm so down.
Yeah.
And I know I need to be more selfish. I think that's the lesson I have.
Yeah, in a pot, not in a take care of yourself.
In a kind way.
Yeah. So breathe into your heart there. So you take on some negativity, and it's, if you work with people, it's good to do stuff to clear that. So the purple color can help quite a lot. That's like a clearing, but orange, and you can just try to imagine different colors around you.
I actually see bright lights and colours.
Okay, cool. So you can let that be there for you. If you're a caretaker, you probably, like me, have had to learn this because I want to take care of other people, but taking care of yourself. So do you feel a connection with Jesus? Is that a thing, or you don't?
Yeah, I've always been very spiritual.
Okay, so you can ask, because Jesus is a sign that can help you, that's present right now with you, so that's cool. But take a breath and let that in. So a lot of times people like you're not sure of it, so you're resisting. So but under the Christ, there's a certain protection. So if you ask for the light of the Christ, mostly keeps out the bad stuff. So you're a little afraid that you don't know what, the orbs are usually good, so you can know that. And you can, if you see a certain light, it looks like there's a certain color that you, and if the colors look good, that usually is a good indication that it's a good thing. So you can breathe that, you can let that into your heart right now. So do that, yeah. But the Christ, that when Jesus came in, it kind of gave us that authority, like this, the thing with Lucifer and Jesus did give us an authority over the negativity. So, but there is negativity around, so it's not like just ignore it, but there you go. So something just shifted there for you. Just sit up straight and breathe, yeah. But yeah, you have stuff, you like the angels, and I mean, you have a lot of spiritual support, a real lot. So,
spirit guides and angels.
Okay. So yeah, so angel, again, it's probably higher than you think. So is when we see guides, we tend to make it here, and then there's up here. Okay, so you want to keep going higher and higher. And it's like once you understand something, there's still something higher. Okay, so it's way, way high. There, so you're connecting into it there, right? And then it comes less physical and less defined. But it is, then you're allowed to be joyful and let that in for yourself. Okay? There's a saying in this work, take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. That's real important. That's good. So yeah, move your right shoulder, move your shoulders around a little bit. There you go. So orbs are a thing, you kind of have to ask them to help you. They don't, like the angels, they just help you. And they won't impose on you, but, well, most angels really, they're dark angels, but, so there's certain, so there are the elementals of the earth, there's the devas that are of the plants, the orbs are kind of in between there. They're the really high things where it's their kind of their karma to help us, so they will automatically help us. But orbs, you kind of have to ask to help you. So they're neutral, kind of, they're more positive than negative, but so you can ask those things to help.
Right, so why do I see orbs particularly sometimes?
Yeah, they're around there waiting for you to ask.
They're waiting for me to ask.
Yeah. So purplish, is there like a purplish one? Yeah, those are good ones. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, just, we all have that connection to God that, the really high spiritual level can't impose on us. Sometimes it can be something in our consciousness that's inviting them in, that's not our conscious mind, but sometimes we have to be conscious about it. Okay? But the Christ, the light of the Christ can be very protective. I mean, there are other things that can, but that's a definite, it's kind of like, yeah, I only want the good things to come in. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll talk a little bit more about the qualities. So on my cards, there are those words on there, they're to qualities. And part of how so our spiritual expression really comes through our qualities more than anything. And then how can we express those in the world through doing? So this is connected to trying to get the light to go to our positive past lives. Like sometimes we have positive qualities that are maybe not expressed as much as they can. So when I work with people, I'm looking to clear the negative patterns from past lives, but then, asking for the spiritual light to come in to amplify or reactivate the good past lives and the positive things that we've had. So, and the cards are a fun thing, and usually everyone sees them. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. But so the first teacher I studied with was Islamic. So in that tradition, they have the 99 names of God. So there are way more than 99 names, but each name is an attribute of God, and they give these names to people. So you have that attribute. Okay. So my daughter's name is Sophia. Her name means wisdom, and she is a very wise young lady, which is kind of cool. And my name means he come out of the ground, and somehow that's something I can kind of see. So two things. One is in the Sufi tradition is what I studied in, there's the Hu sound, H-U, and you use that chanting. And it's a really good way to bring in this positive energy and clear negative energy. On my YouTube channel, there's a basic soul meditation that has that chanting in it that is really, really good to do. Okay. The other part is just about activating our positive qualities. So just take a moment and think of some of your positive qualities if you want to write them down, and we'll just do like a little blessing on that. And for this, if there's some positive qualities you have that you feel are not, like you would like abundance to be expressed a little more in your life. So those can be qualities that can come forward, okay? So just take a moment and so the Sufi Sheikh would have this thing also, when in doubt, and basically becoming aware of these qualities can be a thing like, sometimes we don't even know what to think or what to do inside of us. So by realizing your positive qualities is like, oh yeah, so for me, loving and giving are just really important. And sometimes I have to be careful of that because there are people that don't give, but if I'm not in that place of loving and giving, I don't feel good about myself, okay? So, and there are other qualities I have. I like to be compassionate, I like to be strong. So, when I'm not doing those things, then I know I'm not being true to myself, okay? This is a way to bring in the spiritual energy. It's a way to also activate these past lives that are positive for us, okay? So yeah, take a moment, write down some of the positive qualities, and you can write some that are a bit of a stretch to own because you don't think they're really happening in your life, but they might be there. So yeah, the thing with the qualities, especially, when they're not what is socially considered to be the right thing, then it can be, so that's something I had to learn to be kind of sensitive and loving as a man. I was not taught that as a kid. So it's something I had to learn to do. The thing of even wanting money, you might not think of it as being a spiritual thing, but being abundant is. So these are, in the way I was saying we're puzzles of past lives, we're also puzzles of these qualities. And when we can own our own qualities, that was a nice sound. So everyone can close your eyes. We'll just do a little close ending meditation here. Father, Mother, God, once again we ask for God's love and God's light. We ask for the Christ, the Holy Spirit, all the masters, beings, the saints, all the invisible beings that work in line with the highest good that can be here to support us in our expression, our spiritual manifestation, our manifestation of our positive qualities through our past lives. And we'll ask for a blessing for each of us to come to those qualities and into each of our hearts. And just take a breath and allow that energy to come into your heart. Allow it to come into your gut, to your physical self, and then into your head, to your conscious self. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to be of service. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone. That was great.
Thank you.
So I'll remind you, those sheets are over there with my website and YouTube and TikTok and everything if you want to take a look. And if you're interested in making an appointment, you can do that on my website. Or